So I'm out here shooting a lovely piece to camera on a bright sunny day, and there's barely anyone around, just dog walkers. It's quite a nice bright sunny day, and I wanted to show you how I would potentially set up a piece to camera. So I have my monitor on the side of my camera flipped at the moment, and I'm using these thirds grids to help split myself as a subject and give me a decent horizon in the background. So I'm using a couple of different audio recorders that you can hear me through. I'm using a Rode Go wireless kit, which is quite useful for good long distances. It pairs very quickly and easily with where you can often find with a normal radio frequency mic that sometimes you have to kind of tune them, and it does take a little while to do. Sometimes you're not always using the correct bands as well, and it can just be a little bit of a pain. Yeah, I'm using that for my receiver, which is going into my mobile over this little Lightning to TRRS adapter. I then have a TRS to TRRS adapter, the SC7 cable coming out of the receiver this end. On the receiver I've got no padding on. Again, it's paired well, and it's showing me that I've got quite a lot of battery life on there. I then have a lapel or lavalier microphone clipped to my collar, and that's going down to a receiver that I've put in my back pocket and kind of hid the wires out the way. For my Sennheiser microphone, or the radio frequency microphone, I have a similar setup. So I have my transmitter set up here with my lapel microphone coming out, going under my shirt, and then it's clipped to my collar. For a secondary sort of audio, I have a Gorilla Grip tripod with a zoom mounted to it. I'm recording through the ambisonic microphone just to kind of get some atmospheric noise from where we are in this lovely scenery out here today. Underneath my camera I've stored my bag. Again, a link to the last video. You should always try and store your bag out the way of footpaths. You know, we are in public here, and we don't want anyone kind of coming along and tripping, and we also don't want anyone coming along and trying to kind of steal our things whilst we're distracted shooting. So we have our camera on top, we have our lapel receiver on top as well, and then I also have my Magic Arm mounted to the tripod with a little ball head on there. I'm using the little Osmo Mobile 2 to record and stabilize the camera. I'm using the DJI Mobile Go app on my phone. I'm shooting on both devices, 1920 1080 at 60 frames. All of the settings being handled by the phone, so things like my white balance, my exposure, all those kinds of things are being handled on the phone, whereas on the camera I'm using manual settings. You can set the camera to auto to get automatic footage. It's fairly simple. Once you've got your camera set up and on, hold down this full auto button. That'll turn the camera to automatic. Again, if you want it to manual, just hold down that full auto button again, and it will change the mode to manual. Again, we've got our transmitter plugged into the Beach or the XLR input on the side. They used to be called Beach boxes. And then for the audio settings, I've got both of my channels set to input 1, which the XLR is going into input 1. I've got my audio input set to mic. Line is your 3.5mm jack, and mic plus 48 is when you need phantom power to your microphone, but we actually don't, because there's already batteries inside. I've got this set to automatic. I don't want to have to monitor my levels too much, although you can see on the back of my camera I have bought headphones, and that's always a must when you're shooting. So bring headphones with you just so you can monitor the audio, make sure during a signal check that you actually are recording audio. You'll also see on the camera we have obviously an integrated lens. On the mobiles we also have an integrated lens. With the camera it's slightly different. We can take this off, we can put extra filters on, so we can put things like polarizing filters on, or we can put neutral density filters on. It does have neutral density filters built in as well, so it's got a quarter and a 1/16. These will, in particularly bright circumstance like sunlight, this will flick. You can flick this on, and it will kind of darken off the image slightly and give you more of a contrasted image. We have on our lens the manual focus ring, so if I twist this will focus the camera manually. If I twist this ring, this will zoom the camera. Okay, so zoom in and out. On here is our automatic focus and manual focus buttons. So if I flick this, it's going to flip between autofocus and manual focus. I've got it on manual focus at the moment. Just under this I have my iris controls, so I press my iris auto or manual, and then I change this by rolling this little switch underneath. Just along the bottom of this we have our gain controls, so we have low, medium and high. Inside the menu you can set these, so currently it's set to low is 0 dB, medium is set to 6 dB and high is set to 12 dB. White balancing functions, I can have my preset, so at the moment I think I've set that to 5600, and then you have A and B. So this is particularly useful when you're switching between scenes. Let's say you're going from an internal shot to an external shot, you can quickly flick this on and not have to kind of white balance in each scene. You have a slot select button up here to record to your SD card slots. I've only got one card in, so it's going to record to A. It will tell you when it's recording via the LED indicator. You have your auto image stabilize options down here, your auto exposure levels, your shutter button. When you click this and click one of these two, it will change the shutter up and down. Status will show the status of the camera, so what it's recording, how it's recording it. On display, that will turn off any, I don't think you can see this, but that will turn off things like your crosshairs, things like your marker settings. It will turn off things like the time code and your resolution and frame rate, and all the display functions. It will just shut off. That won't really affect the image itself, but it will show you less information. You then got things like your zebra bar here, which we have set up. That shows you parts of an image that's overexposed. On top is your on and off button. We hold the mode button down to flick between shooting mode and playback mode. At the back of the camera we have some inputs down the bottom, so we've got an AV output here, which allows us to take out to a kind of old composite or a component TV. We then have our headphones. Again, when we're recording anything, we should ideally use some headphones to monitor that. You have a DC input, so this is for charging via the camera. It's also for powering the camera via a mains power if battery power isn't really an option. You then have your eye viewfinder with a little rubber eye contact grip. So these are really good, particularly when you're out and about and you're in kind of sunny weather like we are today. It cuts down on any ambient light that you see on your monitor, so you can see that we can barely see the screen, whereas through the viewfinder it's a lot clearer of an image. On the other side of the camera we've got our record button, we've got another record button just on top as well, and we have our zoom rocking switches. So you've got W for wide, T for telephoto. You've got a device output here, so just on the inside you have a little USB output for taking video and photos and audio off of it. You also have a HDMI output, which is useful for monitoring or going to an external recorder. And you have a little SDI out as well, which is also useful for going to a little external field monitor or recorder.